Yo, what's up, guys? Today I'm going to be showing you some decks for deck archetypes to use in 2021. So first thing up is going to be Hog, as you can tell. I'm going to let you guys look at this deck, and I'm going to explain how you use it. For this one, what you want to do is you want to play Hog Rider first play, always, if you can. I would say Musketeer in the back, but Musketeer in the back doesn't always work if they have Rocket or Fireball, so that's really dependent. Maybe Royal Ghost. It has some starting place, but Hog on Bridge is usually the best one. So that's basically how you play this deck. You just keep defending as much as you can, get those Hog hits in. When there's a Wizard coming from the King Tower, hit it with the Tower and the Fireball, with the Fireball and the King Tower or whatever. You know what I mean. And then for deck number 2, we have the Classic 2.6. Really aggressive deck. It's all about defense on this deck. If you learn how to play this deck to a decent degree, it's going to be unstoppable. Everyone knows that, so don't have to say much about that. Obviously, kite balloons with cannon, and then musketeer fireball if you have to. So then finally, Mega Knight Hog Rider type deck. So with this deck, you're just going to be placing Mega Knights sometimes to defend with everything you can on their ground units. And then if you have a lot of elixir, you're up elixir on them, you can Hog Rider, or you can Hunter. You have a lot of things to help out. And the skeletons, this for defense, and this too. So that's it for Hog Rider. Let me pull up my other decks. So next up we're going to have Giant. So there's 2 Giant Graveyard decks in here, because Giant Graveyard is just a lot better. So you have Giant Graveyard, the new Mother Witch card. You have Skeleton Army, pretty classic type Graveyard deck. So then I didn't want to put all Graveyard Giant decks, because that's obviously not, you just don't want all those. So then I think Boss CR uses this deck, shout out to him. He used to use this deck. This used to be his main deck. It's definitely a solid deck. It's quite hard to get into, but definitely something fun to learn. And finally, the classic Giant Graveyard, probably the most popular one of Graveyard Giant. So I would use this one, preferably if you want to just do something that's the easiest to get into. This one, if you want to do something that's the hardest to get into, but most skill cap, this one, and then this one's just kind of in the middle. So third up, Expo. I know, scummy, but Expo is definitely a very still viable deck. At first, I didn't think it was, then they got the nerf, but definitely worth it. So the first one's going to be the not an off meta, a somewhat decent one. This is going to be the Expo, Tesla, Musketeer, Knight. The arrows aren't supposed to be here, but you can replace this with anything, honestly, in my opinion. Arrows aren't supposed to be here, though. So that's viable to change, though. So 2.9, how could I not? The most classic Expo decks to exist. Now, I would say this deck, or I would say ISPO. You're gonna wonder why ISPO's not on here. It's just too scummy, man. I just can't put it. If you want to learn it, you can, but it's just too annoying, in my opinion. And then, of course, 3.0. These are more skill versions of Expo decks because I just want to make it like a little more challenging because Expo's already challenging, why not? And then let me go to my third archetype. Alright guys, now here's Pekka. Now I had to really think about what decks I was going to use. So I included the 2 Pekka Bridge Spam decks, the main ones. This is the most original one, and then this is the newer one with Magic Archer. You can use whatever one you preference, right? Like if you like Magic Archer more, wonderful. You like Minions more, wonderful. Really just good, sorry, wrong deck. Really, either way, both really good decks. And then for the last one, I tried this last because it's the least efficient. I still thought it was like the best out of the Pekka decks that were shown on Deck Shop, but Pekka Graveyard. It has Goblin Hut. Goblin Hut's going to be the issue. I would recommend switching out Goblin Hut, but after you do that, maybe with Furnace, then it would be a lot easier to use. That's just my opinion. I'm not a Pekka player, but that's just my eyes. So our final archetype is going to be Mortar. First one I'm going to show you is a interesting type Mortar rocket cycle deck. Now, you can play this however you want. It's really dependent on your playstyle. Would you rather rocket cycle out or go for Mortars? Mortar is definitely your only building here, so you might want to play rocket cycle. But that's just up to you. Next one is Hog EQ Mortar. Pretty sure I've seen this deck a lot in CRL. I can't remember correctly, but definitely a good deck. Definitely a good deck. And if you're a free-to-play player, you're going to marry this deck, except for the miner. Other than that, it has 1 legendary, and then the rest are almost all commons, and then 1 epic. Really good free-to-play deck. But that's going to be all, guys. If you have any questions about how to play the decks that I didn't mention, just please let me know in the comments, and I'll give you a summary of it. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a wonderful day.